thanks for that. Wow, we had church today, folks.
Yes, indeed.
Brought you flashbacks of growing up in Arkansas. All right. Good afternoon to each and every one of you. Let me say that again. I say good afternoon to each and every one of you. All right. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. Wow, what a day. I was ecstatic and humbled when I was approached by the El Paso MLK Committee. I know Miss Monica, Lady Monica Tucker, other things she support the community. So I'd like to thank her for reaching out to me. So I'll salute the president of the MLK Committee, President Bishop Albert Mays Jr., sir. Vice President, Lady Maureen C. Simmons. I also thank the MLK Committee members and board and directors. Thank you for sharing this moment with me today. As this is my first official public speaking. I mean, I spoke in front of soldiers. I'm a teacher. You know, I've done other stuff throughout my life, but this is my first official. So I'd like to also thank and highlight someone who I've been watching since I've been here in Paso. Pastor Artie Maxwell Jr. Where's he at? Are you up there? Yeah, hey, sir, thank you for hosting this auspicious event. How fitting is that? Just a little note about me. Growing up in the country, all time in Arkansas, there was a church called Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church. And at the age of 10, I confessed faith at that church. So how fitting is for me to be back in the house of the Lord, exactly, Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church here in El Paso, Texas. So thank you for hosting this. I'd also like to highlight someone that's been a personal friend near and dear to me for the past 4 years. That is Pastor Michael Brady of Prince of Peace Christian Fellowship. So thanks for being a mentor and a friend. Thanks for inspiring me to walk in my faith. You always encourage me. You left those 4 C's, sir. Be courage, competence, commitment, and consistency. Courage, competence, commitment, and consistency. Sir, I had courage. Here I am. In front of all these fine people. Competent. So I try to study up. I have a lot of literature on MLK. I try to make sure it's fitting for the occasion. I'm committed to this effort. I try to make sure I live my dash every day for the community wherever I'm at. I try to be involved, be a part of the solution, and serve, being consistent. I try to bring my A game every day, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's when I'm out running. I ran 4 miles this morning, whether I'm swimming, whether I'm on a bike. I try to be consistent every day. I try to bring my A game every day, like MJ, my frat brother. So, sir, thank you for always sharing that and using that for me. And it's here, sir. So, to my fraternal family, my brothers on Omega Psi Phi, all the other Greek organizations, as well as my Masonic family and friends, and the Fort Bliss community and El Paso community at large. The church community here, this is a great day. This is an amazing day. This is a day that we share with millions around this nation, millions around the world, millions around this country to celebrate the life and legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In many ways, I think of all the great accomplishments, all the enormous progress that we've been able to make due to his life, his vision, and his work. But he wasn't alone. Along with others, we're standing on their shoulders. But I think we can all agree, as I tackle this topic, it starts with me. Shifting priorities to create double love community. I'm going to say this 2 more times, and I want you guys to say it with me. It starts with me. Shifting priorities to create double love community. So I want you to say it with me. It starts with me. Shifting priorities to create the beloved community. So give you guys a hand for getting that. So as I embark on this task today, as explained by the King Center, the memorial institution that was founded by the late Coretta Scott King, Dr. King's beloved community is a global vision in which all people can share in the wealth of the earth. In the beloved community, poverty, hunger, homelessness will not be tolerated because international standards of human decency will not allow it. Racism and all its forms of discrimination, bigotry, prejudice will be replaced by an all-inclusive spirit of sisterhood and brotherhood. So it was the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King that popularized the term the beloved community. But he wasn't the first. That distinction belongs to Josiah Royce. He was a philosopher. He was a professor of philosophy. Royce's beloved community is an idea as a group of people who are fully dedicated to the cause of loyalty, truth, reality itself. Yet, long before Royce, long before Dr. King came to the beloved community, I would say it was a gentleman who was walking. He saw a burning bush. He saw a burning bush, had a burning bush on him, right? He was a stumbling, he was a stuttering guy. This guy was Moses. Moses, as you see, Moses had a burning bush moment. Moses had this talk with God about the beloved community. Though Moses didn't want to, he was the MLK speaker, he had to sit there to help him speak. He was a loving leader of the children of Israel. As you remember, Moses had a mountaintop moment, similar as Reverend Dr. Martin King had a mountaintop moment. So Moses received those commandments. So he says, okay, I got him down to 10, and this promised land, this place full of milk and honey really sounds good. So he goes back to his people. He sees them dancing around the golden calf, questioning his leadership. But Moses didn't stop. He kept on going. So he walks 40 years in the desert. And as he gets close to that mountaintop, Moses perishes, similar to King. As you know, King gave his last speech, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Memphis. He gave his last speech. He said, I'm not going to get there with you. But he knew he wouldn't. Like Moses knew he wasn't going to get there with him, but he laid the foundation. So Moses stands on top of the mountain next to the promised land, looking over and dies in sort of a dream, similar to King. So it starts with me shifting priorities to create the beloved community. So as a country boy, growing up in a small town of Paso, Arkansas, population about 40,000 folks, small town, 80% black. My home is 150 miles or so from Memphis. So growing up, Dr. King and his legacy was something that you couldn't escape. Growing up in the country, we had these fans that had MLK on. Anyone familiar with that? You go to your grandparents, you go to your uncles and your aunt's house. There's a photo of Coretta Scott and Dr. Martin Luther King. So you saw it. So we celebrated way before it was a federal holiday. It was a part of our culture. So many of them, my teachers, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles always spoke about Dr. King and what he did, and all those other civil rights leaders. So the culture back home was huge for me. So he actually spoke at my beloved university, University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, which is a historically black college and university. He spoke at my university during a commencement ceremony back in 1958. So Dr. Martin Luther King is near and dear to me. And it being so close to Memphis, as you know, that tragic day, the 4th of April, 1968, that's where the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, at the age of 41, was assassinated. So he did all his life, he did all his work in his 30s. He perished at the age of 41. So, but the last place he spoke was in Memphis. So it was close to home. So the Rain Hotel, which is currently the National Civil Rights Museum, is a true treasure in Georgia. And every time I go home, I try to visit Memphis. Memphis is 2 hours. So this past summer, I took my mother. My mother was a senior in college at my same institution in 1968. That's her first time ever going there, and she was moved by it. So this is a true story. So if you're ever in Memphis, you're ever down south, I promise you, you should go there and check this out. It's such an inspiring place. So King was assassinated in 68, but his life wasn't in vain. Later that year, they passed the Civil Rights Act of 1968. So, but the beloved community, going back to that, I think somewhere along the way, we lost our fire. Like King had that fire, like Moses had that fire. I think we've lost our fire. And I often wonder, if King was alive today, what would he think of us? You know, what would he think? Would he ever thought about that? What he would think, you know, about the beloved community? Are we living this beloved community? Are we? Something to think about. We are faced with many challenges today in our nation. You got the Voters' Right Act challenges. You got the Build Back Better challenges. You got economic, social justice challenges that we all tackling today. And I think that King's beloved community is a remedy for a healthy society. I have an image, so someone can show it for me. Image. There it is. So you got the beloved community. So as I'm driving to work, I live in I teach at Virgin High School. So I'm thinking about, as an educator, you know, we got different types of people who learn. Some people can learn from audio. Some people can learn from, you know, seeing. So for the visual learners, and I'm a visual learner, I created this image. It's called beloved community. See, at the top, you got the beloved community, right? You got the two pillars. Those two pillars are economic and social justice. So you can see those things hold up the beloved community. But I'm going to touch the things in the middle of that little Venn diagram. We got to be centering ourselves for that Venn diagram. At the bottom, we got faith. So I'm going to talk about faith. I'm going to close it down and talk about faith. But so we saw firsthand, even with the current world state of affairs, we have this pandemic. We saw how that affects economics and social justice. We have all these pre-existing inequalities in our society, United States and most countries around the world. It made ordinary people like us, we were struggling. It affected our students, it affected people working, it affected how people lived, and we saw that not everyone got equitable treatment. It wasn't efficient. There was nothing that you could go to this community and they had masks or they had resources. This community over here didn't. You have parts of the world where there is no vaccination, where we had it in the States. So no one really had a way of putting it together. And I think because of our loss of beloved community, we got to get back to that. So we had flawed policy responses. We politicized the simple thing of wearing a mask. We politicized whether you get a vaccine or not. You know, what happened? What happened to looking out for each other? So I think the beloved community, I'm going to talk about each of these rings in the next couple of minutes. So we got the person. Well, first of all, let's start off with community. And I stole this from my mentor, my friend, my father figure, Pastor Greg. So you got beloved community, but then you have that word community. So what is community? Community, you got common people, and you got unity. So we have no community. We're not together. There's no synergy. So we got to get back to the community. So I have three things I'm going to talk about. I'm talking about the personal, I'm talking about the collective, and I'm going to talk about the culture. So personal, we must get in the fight as individuals, make progress with these pressing issues. Dr. King, who said, no one really knows why they're alive until they know what they're willing to die for. It's important for you to find something that you're so passionate about. You look within yourself, you discover your gifts. So in the ring, I got gifts. Everybody has gifts. Everybody has talents. You got singers. You got people who raise money. You got people who are great poets. We all have gifts. God gave us these gifts. Luke 12:48 says that for whom much is given. So we got gifts. We got to use those as individuals. So we got to strengthen them and build upon those things. So the king said that, we got to serve. Anybody can serve. You don't have to be great to serve. You don't need a college degree to serve. You don't have to have your subject and verb degree to serve. All you need is a full heart of grace and a soul generated by love. So that's the person. So we all have gifts. We all have gifts. We all have gifts. So the next one to talk about is the collective. But understanding this even more, we can't do it by ourselves. So we got the collective, but we can't do it by ourselves. Dr. King worked with individuals with a common good and a common goal to make a greater difference. Dr. King said that we are caught in this inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny, you see. Whatever affects one indirectly affects the other. I can't be what I ought to be if you can't be what you ought to be. Like the king was saying, we're all related. We are all tied together. And the problem of our society is that we become so caught up in our own individuality. We've been so caught up being the best version of ourselves. We've been so caught up living our best lives that we've forgotten about each other. We in this fight together. We gotta look out for one another. So we have this idea of individuality. We've forgotten those around us. We've got to choose the collective good over our personal liberties for the sake of the beloved community. So Dr. King had this amazing way of working with individuals. He wasn't just a magnificent messenger. He wasn't just a master at mobilizing. He wasn't just a prolific preacher and a prophet. He was an excellent planner. We saw that over 50 years. Over 50 years ago, folks, he had organizations like the NAACP. He had organizations like the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. He had organizations like the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Leaders and individuals from all these organizations. So they got together and they checked their egos, what I have up there, egos. They checked their egos. They checked their own personal gain and got together and they worked together for a common good. They set aside their differences. And that's created that massive change. So we got to get back to that. We have to gain our power. We have to get back to those times. Dr. King said that we must be organized in a centralized leadership. We have to have this beloved community. So what if all the community leaders got together in El Paso? What if all the different chamber of commerces got together in El Paso? What if all the different political parties got together in El Paso? All right, what if all the religious leaders got together, all the pastors got together? What if we could do that? What if we had this beloved community where we all got together? So we got together and it's synchronized. We had this strategy and we all spoke about it. So I'm going to attack the last one, which is a cultural level. So Dr. King had this view of this beloved community. He had this utopia. We live in the desert. So a utopia is this place that's perfect out in the middle of the desert, like an oasis utopia, a place where people were working together. People were praying together. People were achieving and working together. Dr. King's beloved community was a realistic and achievable goal. So Dr. King stated that his beloved community was built on faith. He said, my brothers and sisters, in spite of the difficulties and frustrations of the moment, I still have a dream. I still have a dream about this nation that could live up to the true meaning of this creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. He saw Georgia as a place where sons of slaves and sons of former slave owners could be able to sit together at a table in brotherhood. He saw Mississippi as an oasis of freedom and justice. He saw a world where his 4 little children would grow up in a world where they would be judged, not judged by their skin, but by the content of their character. He even saw Alabama, y'all. He saw Alabama as a place where little black boys and little black girls could sit together with little black girls and little black boys. So before Dr. King was assassinated, his final act, anybody know what the Poor People's Campaign was? This is what he was working for. Now, a lot of people don't know about that, but he came up with this thing, this aim, where he wanted to put all the poor people together. So at a cultural level, he had this thing where he wanted it was multiracial, where he had the poor black folks together. He had the poor white folks together, the poor Latin American, poor Asian Americans together, aimed at alleviating poverty, regardless of race. He was working towards a unity, this beloved community. But that was in 1968. He actually had another march planned, but Rep. Abernathy had to take over for him, for the historical people. So they ended up right before he was assassinated. So that's when he was tragically assassinated. Because people were like, oh, this guy, oh no, he putting folks together. He's really exposing everything. So that's when he was shedding light that people were more similar regardless of race. So that was the cultural level. So we talk about the personal, we talked about the collective, now we talk about the culture. So what if we harness the personal, the collective, and the culture? These are all key components of the beloved community, because we got the 2 pillars, economics, social justice. So in the center of it, we got the personal, collective, and culture. So all of that is built on faith, folks. You gotta have faith. Look to the guy and the girl next to you and say, you gotta have faith. You gotta have faith. Now, King had this different type of faith. So I'm gonna study up on King, and I've been studying on his favorite sermon. It was all about faith. So you have the 2 types of faith, folks. You got the faith. You got the if faith. If faith is, all right, if you give me $100, I'm gonna have faith. If you spare me the heartache and pain, I'm gonna have faith. If you give me another test, I'm gonna have faith. That's the other faith. So you got double faith. Anybody know that story in the book of Daniel? Talk about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. That 5 verse, they had that double faith, right? Even though I'm gonna get personally attacked, I'm gonna have faith. Even though I'm gonna be judged, I'm gonna have faith. Even though they're gonna lie on me, I'm gonna have faith. That is the type of faith that MLK had. Dr. King he didn't have this sitting in recliner, sitting on the sofa, chilling, relaxing type of faith. He had this radical, get up and make something happen type of faith. Dr. King said, with this faith, we can hew out a mountain of despair on a stone of hope. King said, with this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood and sisterhood that will love community. King said, and I know y'all know what this is, King said, If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl.